You are watching the broadcast of the El Paso County Commissioners Court meetings. Commissioners Court meetings are held every Monday at 9:30 a.m. on the third floor of the El Paso County Courthouse, located at 500 East San Antonio in downtown El Paso. These meetings are open to the public. The meeting will start momentarily.
All county offices will be closed Friday, March the 30th through Monday, April the 2nd in observance of Good Friday and Cesar Chavez holiday. All county offices will reopen on Tuesday, April the 3rd.
Commissioner Andrew Haggerty would like to invite you to his weekly breakfast meeting that takes place every Wednesday at 7:30 a.m. at Danny's Diner, located at 4690 Trans Mountain Road. Every week he has a different speaker who will be discussing topics of interest for the community. So if you live in the Northeast, West Side, or anywhere else in the county, come and join us for the breakfast meeting.
Don't wait in line, pay online. Visit the Financial Recovery Division website at http://www.epcounty.com/budget/financialrecovery.htm to make your payments online or find out more about our kiosk locations. We now accept payments on misdemeanor, felony, and justice of the peace cases.
You can now watch Commissioners Court meetings on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and search for El Paso County Commissioners or El Paso County, Texas. Subscribe to our channels to see our latest videos.
Did you know that you can save money on the cost of your medications? And doing so is easy. In 2015, the County of El Paso launched a prescription discount card program from coast to coast. The cards are available to all El Paso County residents free of charge and everyone qualifies. You can pick up a card at any county office location, Walgreens, Walmart, CVS, or Target pharmacies, or simply print the card at www.coastrx.com. Happy savings!
Did you know the County of El Paso's Purchasing Department is responsible for ensuring that all items and services needed by various county departments are purchased in the manner required by the state of Texas? Whether through formal sealed bids or smaller dollar quotations, the county purchasing team is dedicated to finding the best contracting return on your taxpayer dollars. Additionally, the Purchasing Department is responsible for the tracking of inventory within the county and properly disposing surplus to public auctions. For questions about how to become a vendor and compete for county contracts, or to learn more about public auctions, please contact us at telephone number 915-546-2048.
The 346 District Court Judge Angie Juarez Barril started the El Paso Veterans Treatment Court program in 2012 for veterans and active service members that have been arrested and charged with a felony or misdemeanor criminal offense. To be considered for this specialty court, the statutory criteria includes be a veteran or current member of the United States Armed Forces, including a member of the Reserves, National Guard, or State Guard, and suffer from a brain injury, mental illness, or mental disorder, including PTSD, or be a victim of military sexual trauma, all occurring or resulting from military service. Call Sylvia Serna, Veterans Program Director, at 915-546-2119, or email her at sserna@epcounty.com for any information.
Did you know that the County of El Paso's fixed asset control and inventory disposal is handled through the purchasing department? Throughout the course of each business year, the county holds live public auctions to dispose of aged equipment, vehicles, furniture, and other items that are no longer needed. To find out about upcoming auctions or to learn more about the county's inventory disposal process, contact the purchasing department at telephone number 915-546-2048.
You are watching the broadcast of the El Paso County Commissioners Court meetings. Commissioners Court meetings are held every Monday at 9:30 a.m. on the third floor of the El Paso County Courthouse, located at 500 East San Antonio in downtown El Paso. These meetings are open to the public. The meeting will start momentarily.
It's now 9:30 a.m. It's Monday, March 12, 2018. Commissioners Court is meeting in regular session. Would you please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The first item is the call for consent. The consent agenda is composed of items 3A through 3D. Are there any items that
consent
members of the court or the public would like to consider separately, please?
Commissioners, any items you'd like pulled from consent? Anybody
Make a motion to approve.
Second?
Thank you. Commissioner Pettis is absent. Commissioner Leon?
Aye.
Commissioner Stout is absent. Commissioner Haggerty?
Aye.
Judge vote.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 4, public comment.
Ms. Pietzek, I don't believe we have anybody signed up for public comment unless someone in the audience would like to speak. I don't see anybody. Okay, I think that is it.
Thank you, Judge. No action on this item. Item 5, presentation. 5A, received the first quarter update for fiscal year 2018 from the Housing Authority of the City of El Paso. HACEP.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Judge. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Good. Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Thank you all so much for the time. My name is Javier Camacho with the Housing Authority of the City of El Paso. And thank you again for the time to allow us to present an update on our first quarterly development for our rental assistance demonstration program. The exciting news over at the Housing Authority is that we are readjusting our timeline with the rest of the world. We have shifted from a fiscal year to a calendar year, so you'll actually see us shift our quarterly updates now. So we just completed our first quarterly update for calendar year 2018, and we'll go ahead and just jump right in. I don't want to be the cause for a longer meeting. So as you all know, we have been undergoing a revitalization effort throughout the city of El Paso for the past 3 years now, and we have made some major strides. And just to give you a quick visual reference, on the top part, we have been doing 2 types of redevelopment efforts, either a gut rehab where you basically strip everything down but you leave the shell up, or we have demolished and reconstructed from the ground up. So the top half, you actually see what we call a 4% rehab, where we have taken it down to its shell and redeveloped it, so you've actually see it come back to life in a completely modernized and more efficient way. On the bottom part, it's been a complete reconstruction where we knocked it down to the ground. This is South Tays in the Chamizal neighborhood just south of us, and reconstructed it from the ground up. So major redevelopment efforts. On the inside, you're looking at a typical kitchen, what it would look like when it was first built in the 1940s and when it was built in the 1970s. So you can see there was a lot of redevelopment and a lot of revitalization effort that were needed also on the inside. On the left, on the right, you see a lot of what the features that we've been making inside the units. These are more energy efficient, a lot more better use. When we look at the typical construction, bathrooms were constructed on the second floor of units. And so as residents get older or they encounter disabilities along the way, they couldn't access basic necessities. So we've been able to redevelop our floor plans that better suit the needs of our residents as well. As we break it out across the city for each of your precincts, in Precinct 1 with Commissioner Leon, we have made some major strides. Really quickly on the legend, you see that the blue houses represent complete construction, so those that definitely needed some construction that are now complete. The orange are what we call a straight up conversion. So basically we have been able to, before the RAD effort, revitalize some of our communities like Alamitos or even new construction like Eastside Crossings in East El Paso. We just needed to do a paper conversion to the new programming. Green is what's currently under construction, and red is what we still have left to go. So we're happy to report that we have 2 communities. They're both brand new construction in Precinct 1, and Commissioner Leon, you were able to celebrate the groundbreaking with us on one of them. So thank you very much for attending.
And what's the name of that particular one?
It is Commissioner's Corner.
Yes. Okay. I like that name.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And it could be taken in any way you like. But it's actually really exciting because every street within this community will be named after a commissioner on our board that has helped lead the way for our RAD effort, which again is the largest in the country that we have seen so far. So we're really excited by that. In Precinct 2, Commissioner Stout, this is where we have the most activity. It's a very diverse precinct. It stretches all the way down to South Central, which is where, of course, our city originated. So this is where a lot of our portfolio sits. About 1/3 of our portfolio sits in South Central. So there's a lot of different activity. You can see a lot of shade of red. So there's definitely a lot of work to do in Precinct 2. And we can definitely provide a breakout if Commissioner Stout or any of you would like to have more detail on this precinct based on its diversity. In Precinct 3 with Commissioner Perez, we're happy to see a lot of blue in this precinct because it means a lot of complete construction. This is in the Mission Valley mostly, and in East El Paso, of course. The one community under construction is Graham. That's right across the street from Raymond Tellez in the Isleta High School area. That's in Phase 2. And MLK, which is right by the Del Valle High School area, that is expected to go under construction later on this year. And of course, in Precinct 4 with Commissioner Haggerty, we have Williams. It's our first West El Paso community completed, which is very exciting because it's an elderly community. And we have 2 that are in queue set to begin later on this year as well. This is a countdown. And as you all know, tax credits can be quite tricky when we're trying to close on the financing. And just for this year alone, we have 19 closings to complete. So that's a lot of work for the Housing Authority, but we're very confident we can get it done. For a quick visual update, I thought speaking to you on the update is one thing, but showing you is another. Here we're looking at Williams community, which is in Commissioner Haggerty's precinct. Here, this is a 4% redevelopment, and it's 100% complete. It's 24 units, but when we're thinking about the population it serves, we really have to think about the types of redevelopment that goes in. So for example, how can we better situate an open space area that allows a person who may transition to a wheelchair better access their basic necessities like kitchens and bathrooms? You'll actually see some examples of a bathroom in this particular unit or community. This is Westfall in East El Paso, and completely new construction where we knocked it down and reconstructed from the ground up. And here you can see we increased the square footage within the bathroom. So that way we don't have to go back in and redevelop a unit that's already in existence. How can we take advantage of the financing that's been awarded to the Housing Authority to reconstruct this? Sherman Plaza is very similar architecture as Westfall in East El Paso. This is off of Paisano, right next to the Housing Authority. And you can see we've been able to also think in terms of recreational facilities as well for our children. So whereas some of the neighborhoods on the outside may be a little too far for children to enjoy, how can we encourage them to stay within? So here you're taking a look at a lot of the same amenities being built in as well. This is Graham, the one community in Precinct 3 for Commissioner Perez. This is a gut rehab currently under construction. This is Phase 2. Here we're doing HVAC system updates, energy efficiency updates, utility updates, where we basically strip down the wall and reveal the problems underneath. Rio Grande, right behind the Housing Authority in central El Paso, really showcases a lot of this redevelopment. You're taking an old 1970s facade, breaking it down and modernizing it so that way it's a lot more efficient in terms of maintenance, but also a lot more appealing and attractive, I guess you can say, for curb appeal. Gut rehab, where we break it down all and expose all the inside, and as we make our efforts in terms of redeveloping it, you can see a lot of the modernizing efforts come to life. The new kitchens, the new bathrooms, and of course, all the energy efficiency updates. And last community that we'll take a look at is Pinto Tower. This is a really important one because it's a high-rise residential development, our very first one, and we currently have yet another one that is under construction, which is Chelsea Tower. So definitely making some major strides. What's next? So right now we have 6 communities under construction. That has actually jumped up one more to 7 now with the Blue Flame building just under construction, about a week old. And so we have many communities left in our queue, about 14, and we have over 8,000 moves still yet to come for our families. Blue Flame building, of course, we are very excited that we are now part of El Paso's Skyline, where we're offering the very first high-rise residential development for the city of El Paso and the very first of its kind in the country under the RAD initiative. Last slide, we're just going to go ahead and let you know about all the moves with your constituents. We have over 2,700 moves completed so far. That is broken out by temporary moves, where we take a family and relocate them temporarily as their unit goes under construction, and over 1,200 moves where we've been able to welcome them back to a brand new community. 740 units approximately under construction. That's been added by the 120 units at Blue Flame. We've converted over 3,200 units to the new programming, which creates more sustainable funding. Over 1,000 jobs created, and we have now jumped to $740 million worth of investment.
Javier, if I may interrupt there,
Yes.
that $740 million, I was listening to the news about this very topic this morning, and one of the things that the media failed to say is $740 million is mostly coming from the federal government to our city. Is that correct?
State and federal funding is exactly the way we would like to communicate it. So you're exactly right. Much of this funding has been through the efforts of the Housing Authority going after tax credits, 4% and 9% tax credits. And with the Blue Flame specifically, we've been able to name it a historic tax, on the National Registry, which gives us access to state and federal tax credits, historic tax credits.
This is really good news because, like I say, I think it was a little weak this morning on where that money is coming from, not from local taxpayers. So, and it wasn't any of the news media here.
Yeah.
So,
good to know.
I appreciate you clarifying that for us. Thank you.
And thank you for giving us the opportunity. Again, this is, as you say, Commissioner Leon, at zero cost to the local taxpayer. And when you're talking about a $1.3 billion investment, that's huge for any kind of effort in any sector of the government. So thank you very much for the time and for recognizing that. That concludes my update. If there are any other questions by the judge or the commissioners, I'd be happy to take them.
I think so, Javier. So you mentioned it's a $1.3 billion investment at the end of the day. When all of this is said and done, that is what will have been invested in this community.
That's exactly correct. And what's great is that we spread across, as you can see from the maps, through every reach of the city of El Paso. So we're really excited for this. And if we didn't do it now, who knows when we would be able to do it again.
It's definitely an ambitious undertaking, and it seems to be going very seamlessly. So
it's lessons learned along the way, but we're very happy that we definitely have paved the way for the next 2 years, because that's what it's looking like. We should be financially closing all the communities for this year, but construction should go through 2020. So right now it's Vision 2020. Get this done.
Thank you for coming up and giving us this slide presentation. But I've got to say, and I said it when we broke ground for Commissioner's Corner, that the stigma of living in those kind of locations is disappearing, where children now are not ashamed of bringing a friend home to play or living in a location that is what we used to have and what we have now. A tremendous change, so thank you.
Thank you very much, and I could not agree with you more, so thank you so much. Perfect. Okay.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you all so much. If you have any other questions, your staff definitely knows how to get a hold of me, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, take care.
Afternoon.
Thank you. Auditor, item 6. Discuss and take appropriate action regarding a travel request for June 2018 from Judge Luis Aguilar and provide input on the process for travel requests for current office holders who are not seeking or do not win re-election. Funds are available in account GF Gadming Travel Prof Ed.
Good morning, Commissioners. Mike Izquierdo, Executive Director, Council of Judges.
Morning.
This item, Judge Aguilar is a sitting judge until December, or the end of December, or January 1st. And he still requires to get his training hours. And the Rusty Duncan, the program that he wants to attend, provides him those hours. For him to stay in good standing with the judiciary. I spoke with him. He's in trial. And he says, I'm on the ballot. So it's going to be up to the voters to decide whether I stay past December. So.
Ms. Keller?
Judge, Commissioners, I don't think, personally, or I guess my interpretation of the policy is whether or not someone plans to be reelected or plans to continue, that is not the policy question, but the policy question is If someone is either in a runoff, still on the ballot, or up for reelection from now until the end of the year, they are basically after the primary, that it requires Commissioners Court approval for them to travel or spend money out of their budget from this order that was adopted in 2010. I will tell you, I've mentioned to you all, this policy does need some updating, and we're working on it. It needs a more comprehensive overhaul. But I do understand that when this was adopted, that this only applies to county and precinct officials, not to state district judges. So now you do have the ability to approve or deny their travel, as all travel is, well, any county travel, county funded travel, because that is in the county's general administration budget. But generally, if the in my recollection, if the person needed the hours to meet the requirements of their office, we have generally approved the travel for the training that will do that. I also understand that there is other training options where the judge could meet the hours that would not be at the same cost or at a cost, or less, possibly a less cost. But we have not practiced generally assessing which training is most appropriate for someone to go to.
Just for context, if the training hours aren't met by any judge, whether a candidate on the ballot or not, what happens? Are they not able? They lose their license, or
they go before the Commission on Judicial Conduct for not meeting their ethical hours. I mean, and the hardest one they always tell me the hardest one for them to get is ethics. So they look for courses that have an ethics component in it, so they can get their ethics hours. And typically the training is paid for by the state for the district court judges. There may be some component that is not totally covered, and that's where the county comes in.
And so is a portion of this training going to be paid by the state that we know of, or? And
I'm not sure how this course, the Rusty Duncan on criminal, and criminal has changed a lot from this session. So it behooves the judges to go to that.
If there's a free one by the state and one we have to pay for, I'd rather the free one from the state be the one that we go with.
And I asked the question on the financing only in that I was looking at the travel request, and I think the travel, the flight was a business select, which is about, no, is that going to be changed?
Okay, so the travel has not been reviewed for compliance with the policy yet and reduced to what the policy does allow, which that would be done if the court does say we approve of him going to this training, then we would then scrutinize the travel for compliance with the policy, and it would be reduced to the lowest possible fares.
My thoughts are, he is the sitting judge. We don't know for sure whether he's going to extract his name from the ballot. He is on the ballot, and he will be until whatever happens, from what I understand, until December 31st. So my motion would be to approve.
I just have another question. You said most of the classes most of the training is paid for by the state, except for this one?
Yes, there are some components that are paid by the state and others that are not.
By components,
I'm not sure about this one.
What do you mean by components? You mean like these classes?
There's two courses that I'm aware of, I believe. Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a couple specific trainings, something to do with us being part of the 6th Judicial District, and that those, we pay into that, and so there's a training that's provided.
Betsy, let me just clarify. My staff just informed me that the training the states are receiving, this is Edward Deon, County Auditor, they get their training through the Texas Center for the Judiciary, and that this training is not associated with that particular organization.
Okay. It's a separate, that's where the county pays the training because it is more specialized. And we have the same thing for civil cases as well as the criminal. And this is what is considered the premier criminal training for the judges.
But he just said they get their training from somebody else who doesn't charge us.
No, the Texas State Center only teaches certain courses. They don't teach everything because they're limited in funds as well. And they focus mostly on county court at law training.
The district court judge training focuses on county court of law training?
No. The state center, I do not believe, focuses as much on what the district courts have to do as what the county courts of law have to do. It's strange. I know. But it is their system of education. And they have their requirements. You got to have so many hours of certified training to remain on the bench. And if you don't have them, then they fine them. We've had judges who have missed the training or missed their number of hours and have received $500 fines for not keeping up with their hours.
It's Edward Deon again, County Auditor. It's my understanding that this training is more specialized and it deals mainly with capital murder cases, which is not something that the Center for the Judiciary would normally be providing.
I have a question, I guess, geared for legal. I guess in the future, I mean, the policy is what it is right now, but I guess in the future, I mean, the circumstances, I guess, are rather limited where we have a situation where, you know, there was somebody who indicated that they didn't want to run after being on the ballot, and I think that's what's causing a lot of the questions regarding this. But do we have the ability to limit, I guess, the training or to specify that in this circumstance, if let's say there's a person who's either chooses not to seek re-election or loses office, do we have the ability to say, okay, in that circumstance, the county won't pay for your training in the event that there's state training available?
Absolutely. That's within your discretion on how you want to decide that. You can even put a time frame, for example. I understand that this particular training is taking place in June. For example, we know, and we don't know what's going to happen with this particular circumstance or any other circumstance, but say, for example, there might be a training in November and the official needs those training hours because they're serving through the end of December the 31st. But it's really up to the court and your discretion, and that's certainly within your purview to establish that policy to decide how you want to apply it to state elected officials. You certainly can change that and specify that right now and within your authority to do so by statute. And within your policy for the county precinct officials, this is a little bit different because it applies to the state judicial officers and district attorneys, which there is no policy that exists, but you can do so if you wish to. Okay. And to figure out, I mean, are there other options? Why specifically this one? You know, is it, how many hours are you limiting on your, I mean, that is something that you can look into if you want to. Okay. Yeah.
And would that require a separate agenda item, or can we just give general direction that I guess administration look into, I guess, the policy generally speaking as it pertains to state elected officers?
If you don't wish to take action today in terms of approving this policy, you could either, one, take action to approve the travel, but you can also take action if you wish to direct staff to look into other options if they were available. That's something that you can do if you wish to at this time. And I don't know if there's any particular time frame in which to approve this travel or not. I think it's occurring in June. Your policy doesn't cover state officials, so a policy would have to be brought back for the court to do so. But if you want to direct staff to look into other options and bring back more information, you can.
But with the current travel policy, my office was in collaboration with the county administration, and my understanding is the policy, since it does not address it, I have to request it from the county administrator, and it appears that the county administrator doesn't have authority, and that's why we're here today. Because we only can approve and follow the procedures that you've all created. And at this point, we don't have any clarification in this area.
Since this is in June, I think we can probably skip a week or two. I like the idea of having some more research done because I'm not really convinced with the training options at current time. So I would move to direct staff to bring back some more items, more options, as well as correct the policy to include the state.
Well, this is our second motion. We've already got a previous motion from Commissioner Leon.
Yeah, we already have a motion on the floor.
travel.
And one of the things that are, by doing this, are we being consistent with what we've done in the past? I know that from this point on, we're going to start looking at the way we address these kind of issues because it's not something we've got in writing. By doing this, are we being consistent with other requests?
Commissioner, right now, I'm not aware of any other request on the table from a candidate who is in a state of undecided. And so right now, I don't have any similar cases. And while we've had the policy, I do not recall this coming up 2 years ago during the election cycle. And I don't even remember it coming up 4 years ago during the election cycle.
And I think this is different than most, where the candidate wrote a letter saying, "Don't vote for me," and to spend money on training for that, I think if there's an option to not, I think there's no, I can't think of a time where someone's done that. So that's my issue. Is I understand the need for training. I understand that we have to have training. But if someone takes the time to write a letter saying, "Do not vote for me," and then wants to go get paid training when there's free training available, I have an issue with.
And I agree with you. I agree with you, but my question is, by delaying this a week, 2 weeks, is there in fact something that we're going to discover that isn't any different than what we've got today?
Well, I mean, he may have changed his mind. I can't speak to his mind, but.
So basically, we're giving him time to make a decision.
No, I mean, he's running as far as I can tell. His name's on the ballot. It's between him and one other person.
And even if he were to choose to stay on the ballot or to push to be removed from the ballot, the question would still remain that he has to reach a certain number of hours to continue to serve as a judge. And so the question really is where he's going to get the training, and if the court feels like this particular one, where we have to pay for it, is the training that he should be getting.
And like I said, he does criminal work the majority of the time, and that's what this training, Rusty Duncan training class, it's what they focus on, especially with all the new changes that occurred out of the legislature.
Was there a second on the first motion?
No.
This guy.
So I guess my question, Commissioner Haggerty, is, and I don't disagree with you, I agree with you, but by postponing this one more week or 2 weeks, what is the answer we're looking for?
The answer I'm looking for is, are there options for, and it's something we have to know no matter. I mean, there were 2 people in races this week, and either one of us could have lost, and we're still required to do training. And I understand the need for training, but if you've actively said I don't want to be elected, I have an issue paying for travel when free travel is available. And that's something I think we need to look at in the policy of saying, okay, you've lost a runoff. You've actively said you don't want to be elected. We need to get you training, but it needs to be at the most cost effective for the taxpayer. I think that's something we need to look at is there training available that doesn't cost the county money for someone when someone has either lost the election or openly stated they don't want to do it, something to that effect.
And I'd be glad to withdraw my motion if the court feels this way. I mean, I've got no problem either way.
I think I think in this circumstance, if there is, I mean, I didn't realize that the possibility that there may be free training available and I guess that would be reimbursed by the state. If that's the only question, I guess that we need answering. If there is free training available in lieu of county paid travel, I think it probably just behooves us just to err on the side of caution. I don't think 1 week or 2 weeks is going to hurt his travel request. And if free training is available, then I think we perhaps then amend the policy that, in circumstances such as these, considering that they are so rare, I guess that doesn't hurt to I guess, start now that we begin the search for. But it just raises an interesting question. I mean, it's while he says that he did want off the ballot, he may have changed his mind.
I don't disagree.
And it just now falls into a category of an elected official and we don't know whether or not he's going to win or not. But anyways, I think it probably behooves us then to probably just establish a more, just a broader policy, I think, for training generally that I guess we would generally prefer if there is training available, it's free and that is paid for by the state and county travel funds don't have to be utilized. Perhaps it just behooves us to look more generally, I guess, for all state training. So, can we then, I guess?
Well, first we need Commissioner Lone to officially withdraw his motion and then my motion will play.
And I'll be, I guess, Christina, this question is more to you. By delaying it, are we being consistent with other actions this court has taken in the past?
Based on the information that Ms. Keller had provided, it seems that this issue hasn't come up before. However, this is the first of an issue, and that, in my opinion, moving forward, your actions have to be consistent. So I don't see that as an issue as long as when you establish your policy, and today and moving forward, it is consistent across the board. And when I say that, I mean not only with state officials, but also consistent with your current policy that it's only applicable to the county and precinct officials. So that's the caveat that I would add. But I don't see it as a legal impediment or issue, again, as long as moving forward, it is applied consistently.
Okay, thank you. I'll withdraw my motion.
Okay, thank you. So we have a motion from Commissioner Haggerty to direct staff to bring back more options. And did you want to postpone for 1 or 2 weeks?
Would 1 week work or do you need 2?
I think we can definitely do the research in a week.
And postpone 1 week.
If you want to draft a modified policy, yeah, we can work on it within the week.
Okay. Well, 1 week, please.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner, do we have a second?
I'll
We
second.
need a second, please.
Commissioner Perez.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Pettis?
Aye.
Commissioner Leon?
Aye.
Commissioner Haggerty?
Aye.
Judge vote?
Aye.
Motion carries. Purchasing, item 7.
Thank you. Have a good afternoon.
Award of bid number 17034, security doors and lock replacement for the Juvenile Justice Center rebid to Cornerstone Detention Products, Incorporated, San Antonio, Texas, in the amount of $434,973.87. Purchasing approved recommendation on February 14, 2018. Funds are available in account CIP 17 Juve Pro Detent Renovations, GF Juve Detent Mate Rep General.
Say that fast.
Good morning.
Good morning, Deborah Correjo, County Purchasing Agent. The request for this award is actually a rebid of 17009, which Commissioners Court allowed us to close down so that the specifications could be redone more in line with what was actually needed by the JPD. We did have 2 vendors out of 94 come to the walkthrough, but only 1 respondent. And when we tried to find out why the one respondent, why the one that did not respond chose not to respond, we could not get them to return our calls. So I'm presuming that was an internal issue. I don't normally press it beyond that. However, if you notice, the cost for the security doors, wiring, access mechanisms, and installation is $397. Okay, I'm so sorry. That was a shortcut. $397,408. But the option was chosen also for the 365 24/7 support response and 1 year of maintenance. And so the total is going to be $434,973.87. And this is reasonable for this, and I understand this is a pretty critical need for them.
Commissioner Haggerty.
I have no issue with that. I know the doors are needed and things. I just want to make sure we're keeping in mind wanting to go with the one key opportunity and making sure either the future RFP or this RFP has the ability to link up with the multiple keys. If we're spending almost $500,000 on doors, I don't want to do it again next year.
Yes, sir. The current RFP is being drafted for the countywide access. In that, the vendor or vendors who respond and are awarded are going to be required to work with what is already in the county, accounting for what they can replace if it's at the end of its useful service life, or what they actually have to work with if we contract and get it in. Even if this were not being done, their current system would have to be accounted for in that RFP, so it really is almost a wash at that point. We would not anticipate redoing this in any way, shape, or form. It would just have to be accounted for.
Thank you.
Commissioner Leon?
You may have touched on it. The additional funds that are required, $66,974. How did that come about?
When the specifications were redone, it had to do with the handles. It had to do with the handles. And so the changes that needed to be made for security purposes came in at higher cost.
So the initial estimate was they didn't take into consideration those handles, that they missed that?
No, I don't know that that's the case. I don't know that they missed it in the original estimation. I think it was just the handles that were put in weren't the ones that were needed. It gave the vendors too much choice in handles. And so what they thought they needed just did not meet their security needs. And that's why the specifications were redundant.
I also think that there were 3 doors. When it was originally estimated, I think it was for 92 doors. Oh. And when they identified all of the doors, from a security perspective, it actually ends up being 95 doors. So there was those couple variances, the handles, and then 3 additional doors from what we originally, JPD had originally identified.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Move to approve.
Second.
Commissioner Pettis?
Aye.
Commissioner Leon?
Aye.
Commissioner Haggerty?
Aye.
Judge vote.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Budget and Finance, item 8. Approve amendment number 22 to the County of El Paso's 2017-2018 operating budget. This budgetary amendment will increase grants by $281,340, thus increasing the overall budget of $484,794,352.15 to $485,075,692.15.
Good morning, Judge Commissioners. Wally Hargrove from the Office of Budget and Fiscal Policy. Did anyone have any questions regarding this week's amendment?
Welcome back, Wally.
Great to be back, sir.
Any questions, Commissioners? No. Okay. Move to approve.
Second.
Commissioner Pettis?
Aye.
Commissioner Leon?
Aye.
Commissioner Haggerty?
Aye.
The judge vote.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 9, executive session. Commissioners Court will now recess into executive session to discuss the following items pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.071. It would be items 9A through 9B. The court will reconvene to take official action.
To be considered for the specialty court, the statutory criteria includes be a veteran or current member of the United States Armed Forces, including a member of the Reserves, National Guard, or State Guard, and suffer from a brain injury, mental illness, or mental disorder, including PTSD, or be a victim of military sexual trauma, all occurring or resulting from military service. Call Sylvia Serna, Veterans Program Director, at 915-546-2119, or email her at sserna@epcounty.com for any information.
Did you know that the County of El Paso's fixed asset control and inventory disposal is handled through the purchasing department? Throughout the course of each business year, the county holds live public auctions to dispose of aged equipment, vehicles, furniture, and other items that are no longer needed. To find out about upcoming auctions or to learn more about the county's inventory disposal process, contact the Purchasing Department at telephone number 915-546-2048.
Thank you. Commissioners Court has reconvened into regular open session at 10:16 a.m. And that completes the agenda for Commissioners Court today. The meeting is adjourned.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great afternoon.
It
Have a
is
great
10.
spring break.
It is 10:16 a.m. Thank you.